Shiba Inu has fallen ever so slightly by 6.47% in the last few days, but I do think there is some good news to talk about. So in today's video, guys, we are going to be jumping into the technical analysis on SHIB, sharing my thoughts and opinions on where I think it is heading next. Let's roll the intro and get right down into it. Hi guys, welcome back to another video update. Today we are taking a look at Shiba Inu paired up with the USDT on the 4-hour Binance chart here. And some interesting kind of developments, right? So we have seen this little mini pullback and we are currently finding support right here on that 200 EMA. Now, as you can kind of see, guys, we've had support here a number of different times, right? As you can kind of see as I just highlight them on the chart. And we're kind of fighting this area right now as well, right? And so this area was a previous area of resistance. The 200 4-hour EMA has been a very interesting one to kind of keep an eye on, right? We've seen resistance turn into support, right? And whilst we've been having this, let me actually go ahead and clear all that off. Whilst we've been having that kind of area of resistance turn support on the 200 EMA, we've also found ourselves with a breakout of our downward trend line. Our downward trend line is definitely not the best trend line to be looking at. There's actually a couple of different ways of looking at it. We have this one here where we can see a couple of touch points right there. And then, of course, if I were to adjust this for the peak up here, and I go ahead and pull this down to somewhere around here, again, you end up with the same situation. You can only really find 2 touch points. Now, if I look for the maximum number of touch points that I can acquire here, we're going to probably have to look at this through multiple different ways, or a lens that actually doesn't equate to a perfect trend line, in my opinion, which would be something to this effect right here, where we can see we have the wicks crossing the trend line, but no closures. If you look at it from this point of view, you can actually still see that we have multiple areas of resistance on our trend line here, but then also briefly here before we break back down, break up, and then we get that confirmation right there. Now, that confirmation on this particular trend line shows us not only with the confirmation of the trend line turning to support, but also if I remove all those lines, you can see that we had the cross with the red line, which is our 50 EMA, going higher than our white line, our 200 4-hour EMA, right? So the 50 EMA crossing the 200 EMA. We also have the 50 SMA crossing over above the 200 EMA, as well as crossing the trend line over here, as well as we continue to get momentum to the upside. Now, why do I mention all of this? Well, I'm mentioning all of this because that actually puts Shiba Inu in a pretty interesting spot. I still look at this as a potential move to the downside, but if we can hold our 200 EMA, this could be a great position to be going long on the market, basically putting our stop loss below our trend line here and taking profit probably up. Actually, that's not a bad place to be, probably about here, giving us a 1.6 risk reward ratio. That basically would be entry at about 956, take profit at 1039, and stop loss at 904. You can add all the zeros for yourselves in the front of those numbers, but you can kind of see the idea. Now, obviously, I'm no financial advisor. I cannot give you financial advice. All I can do is share my thoughts and opinions on the data in the charts as I personally see it. And for me, I think this is ultimately where the maximum amount of value is going to be. Now, if I were to be trading with leverage, I am going to be using the BitGet platform. BitGet is my go-to platform when it comes to leverage-based trading. There is a link to BitGet in the description down below. And if you do use that link, you are eligible for up to, I think it's $30,000 of deposit rewards and bonuses, depending on which country you reside in. There's lots of terms and conditions for those bonuses and rewards, so do check out their website for more details. Now, ultimately, rewards and bonuses to one side, ultimately, I just think that BitGet is a really easy to use platform. Whether you are a complete beginner or an advanced user, BitGet has a little bit for everybody. So why not check it out? The link is in the description below. Of course, do bear in mind that some jurisdictions are not eligible to be using the affiliate links. All the T's and C's are in the description below and on the website. let's go ahead and take a look at Shiba Inu then. So on our 4-hour time frame, we see the potential for a breakout to the upside. We want to have this broader kind of stop loss there, because it is possible that if we lose the 200 EMA, we come back and we back test down on our trend line. So giving it some room to breathe isn't a bad idea in my opinion, but that would be my approach here. And again, with this area of profit taking, this comes in right up here as this area of interest with lots of resistance previously, and also an area where we saw it become resistance. Okay, so resistance turns into this area of consolidation, back to resistance. Chances are this area will be resistance as well. Okay, and this, for reference, guys, is basically between 1037 and 1059. You can add 4 zeros in the beginning of that. So for the most part, you can see that Shiba Inu has some potential moves to the upside to be had here, and it does look like it has some progression still in the tank. So all in all, I think Shiba is in a pretty reasonable position on the 4-hour time frame. If we come and bring up our stochastic RSIs here, you can see that everything has corrected down on the 1 hour, 4 hour, and 8 hour timeframes into the oversold areas. Doesn't necessarily mean it's done just yet, because we can see here on the 4-hour time frame that the white line, I'm not sure if you can actually see that in a lot clearer. Let me bring that. The white line here, that is the average, okay? And then you've got the yellow line, which is the stochastic RSI. So what we're waiting for here is basically the yellow line to cross above the white line. That's going to be your kind of big pivot. And so, yeah, we're only just down here. We probably have a little bit more negative price action before we start to really take off on the 4-hour time frame here for Shiba Inu. Now, if I take that off, throw on the divergence indicator, we did have the bearish flag there. And at the moment, no other kind of indications here. The RSI is below the mid level, so we can look at that as bearish as we want at the moment on the 4-hour time frame. Interesting stuff there. And of course, we can see volume here as well, some negative selling volume over the last couple of days, really pushing that price down by that 6.4%. So bringing this back up and taking a look at our price chart here, I think, Shiba Inu is in a reasonable position for a long, and I do think that is the most probable scenario for the next direction that SHIB is likely to take. But yeah, I think that's going to wrap up today's video, guys. So why don't you check out this video right here, where I'm talking about what is going on with Avalanche's AVAX, some interesting data and some interesting price predictions there as well.